Back in August 2007, I was working at a large aerospace company and saw an interesting article that I could come back and read during a break. When I went back to the tab, I forgot what I'd clicked on and only saw comments where people were saying the story was made up. They were saying that the 6-year-old girl did not do anything like this. I became curious. Why did people find this story so unbelievable? Before we get into what Elena did, I want to encourage you to check it out for yourself. But I read the book, I talked to the dad, I let it sink in, and I'm telling you, all of it is true. The Cincinnati Museum of Art has featured Elena's notes alongside pieces by Van Gogh and Picasso. Cincinnati has declared June 1st Elena Day. Hoaxes and fictional characters don't get commemorated like this. And even then, the city of Cincinnati had no idea what was brewing inside of Elena's life, or how she would make international headlines. I've gone from studying Elena to becoming her student. Elena always wanted to be a teacher, and I admit she has more to teach me than I have to teach her. So instead of evaluating the life of Elena to see whether or not she was existential, I am hereby pronouncing her an existential hero, so we can identify her qualities and grow from them. First, just like Camus had his own flavor of existentialism that he called absurdism, we're going to look at Elena unique life view, which I'm going to call Razzle Dazzle. Next, we're going to take a look at Elenian simplicity and how it parallels some of the observations Kierkegaard made about the advantage of keeping your life simple. Last, I want to look at the amazing thing Elena did that made world headlines. Be sure to watch to the end so you can find out. After that, we'll also look at some of the ways Elena overcame the things that people today struggle with and become defeated by. The book about Elena's life does a lot of wrestling with the subject of hope, how to understand what hope is, the desirability of it, or whether it is more of a struggle than anything. But here's the thing, if Elena could find meaning having gone through terminal cancer, then you had better believe you can find it in your life. Sometime around 1999, the Ohio Department of Education was exploring ways to encourage children to learn through creativity. And they did this using what I found to be the earliest recorded use of a certain phrase, Razzle Dazzle, a phrase which was probably intended to mean some combination of theatrical glory and meaning specific to one person. Her school in Cincinnati adapted the expression, with her dad describing it as an all-important honorary status bestowed on only one special child per day. Celebrating the uniqueness of the child reminds me of how Amy Hollingsworth described Fred Rogers, the historical person, as being more Mr. Rogers than Mr. Rogers. Elena went on to embrace Razzle Dazzle in a deep and profoundly personal way, and she went on to write detailed instructions for her sister Grace about Razzle Dazzle. Her parents wrote a great deal about her in their book, Notes Left Behind, which I found very inspiring and worth the read. Her parents don't present Elena as flawless or always the most convenient person to be around, such as the day she woke them up at 3 in the morning to watch cartoons, or the time she asked for her pancakes to get made into a face with cherry eyes and then didn't eat the cherries, or the time she asked to paint the house and then got tired of it after 10 minutes. But what we are presented with is a girl who was never fake and allowed a unique kind of light to shine through her life. Her dad wrote, "Her resolve has never faltered, and her courage to continue smiling seems endless. Her integrity is without question. Elena has never been able to lie, and her concern for others in the face of her struggle is miraculous." You can see the razzle dazzle in observations like her dad calling Elena an independent girl, and how they learned the way that value is a way that you, as an existing razzle-dazzle individual, choose to look at things. A good day is relative, while they certainly don't measure up to the good old days of last year, our perspective and appreciation have changed. Today was a good day. Elena's recognition of the inner and distinct ideals at work inside her allowed her to avoid the common pitfall of trying to be just like everyone else and angling for the crowd's approval. But there was something else unusual about Elena: aggressive brain cancer. Could the special viewpoint of Razzle Dazzle bring clarity and hope even in the dark, scary places like that? In one of my favorite, underrated quotes, Soren Kierkegaard said, "Human beings are perfectible. One can as easily get them to do one thing as another, just as easily get them to fast as to live in worldly enjoyment. Only one thing is important to them, that they are just like the others." Yet, what God wants is neither the one thing nor the other, but primitivity. Kierkegaard contrasts the worldly desire to seek the party lifestyle and the approval of others with the divine calling to be simple and distinct. In a lot of ways, existentialism just boils down to, if you had one day left to live, how would you live it out? Surely, a huge number of adults would prefer to go to Las Vegas and hunt down all the excitement to be found there. Elena's dad makes the observation that kids would respond to such a hardship in a very different way. Children are too simple for complicated adult stuff like that. If a child's taste can barely handle lasagna, how much less are they up for tossing out their ideals? But fighting cancer is a much more vigorous fight than simply staying away from the Mardi Gras lifestyle. And both roads have a lot of disillusionment in full view along the way. Keith recorded that it did a lot to change the way that they felt about innocent activities as well. They ask her what she wants to do as a wish trip. She shrugs and doesn't answer. If it sounds at all like Elena was being ungrateful, ask yourself how easy it would be to enjoy a final wish with full awareness of your last moments approaching. In some ways, existentialism is just being willing to acknowledge this difficulty, and then ask yourself, what meaning do I now want to seek after? This approach sounds terrible, but as Kierkegaard writes, if one does not know the terrors, one does not know the greatness either. And I'm telling you, take it from me, that Elena found greatness. A lot of that probably came from allowing the terrible fight with cancer to simplify what matters to someone. But wait, as Elena's dad himself states, no lesson is worth a child's life. Certainly it is not for us to decide when it is time to learn such a lesson. And yet, this story happened, and this awful lesson brought enormous clarity to Elena personally, as it might do for each of us if we travel this difficult journey with her and ask what we have to learn. This great hardship also gave Elena a chance to do something amazing, something that brought international attention, something that dramatically changed the way many people looked at their own lives. That's what we are going to look at next. The Razzle Dazzle inside Elena's life was something that could not be extinguished, even by terminal cancer. And this is true on many levels. Elena's body had lost all of its vitals. It was tragically delivered to the ambulance in her father's arms. But days after she passed away, something amazing happened. One by one, Elena's family started finding notes telling them how much Elena loved them personally. Her mom found a note, her dad found a note, her sister Grace found a note. Consider what was amazing about what Elena did. Most people hope that they will be remembered by others after they die, a spurious wish that eventually dissipates completely. But Elena had found a different hope, that she would continue to contribute into the lives of other people even after she passed away. Full disclosure that since Elena and I are both Christians, we also have the hope of living in a forever paradise, which is huge to me personally. And here is the 6-year-old girl who also had this personal mission to hope in contributing to others after she was gone. Think about it. What 6-year-old approaches her final moments and thinks, I'm going to leave some notes behind for people to find after I'm gone so they'll feel loved? People fantasize about someday having world historical significance. But ironically, it was this young girl who cared about the neighbor next to her in her life that gained worldwide attention and recognition. I can't say she will still be remembered 10 years from now, But what I can say is that Elena's love endures and has inspired my life today. Meaning is such a strange thing, and how hard it is to measure. People have frequently asked me how a loving God could allow children to contract terminal cancer. What gets forgotten is the way that people like this can find more meaning in their 6 years here on Earth than most people find in 70 years of living. And it is the prospect of meaning that sets a question against all the so-called pursuits and achievements of mankind. To me, a single act of kindness weighs more heavily than the discovery of electricity, more than the discovery of medicine. Remember what Einstein said, the most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. Be sure to visit thecurestartsnow.org to learn more about how you can help children struggling with cancer. Do you remember hearing about Elena back in 2007? What do you take away from her life the most? Be sure to like and subscribe to this video, and I will see you in our next one.